You were a naval seaman. You served in the United States Navy, and now you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma. And you and your family are trying to figure out how you were exposed to asbestos. Hi, I'm Joe Williams. I'm a mesothelioma trial attorney here in New York City, and I can answer the questions you have about how naval seamen were exposed to asbestos. The first thing that we need to know about someone who served in the United States Navy is, what was their rating? What was their job aboard ship? Did their job cause them to come into the fire room where the boilers were, or the engine room where the turbines and other equipment were? That's where the majority of the asbestos-containing components on a naval ship were. Throughout the ship, the piping, almost all of it, was covered with asbestos pipe covering. And in the engine room and the fire room, the equipment was insulated with asbestos. The equipment had internal asbestos gaskets and asbestos packings. The boiler had asbestos fire brick and asbestos cement that was all used in conjunction with that equipment. And as we learn more about an individual client's case, we can then draw on our experience of working with other naval seamen to learn more about their individual exposures and what exposures that particular client would have had to asbestos. Another important factor in a case for a naval seaman is the fact that they worked on a military ship. And the military kept very strong records regarding their ships. And those records are saved in the United States Naval Archive. And in cases involving naval seamen, we hire a researcher to go down to Washington, D.C. and to acquire the records for that particular ship. And those records at the U.S. Naval Archive tell us all the equipment and all of the work that was done on that ship. And from those records, we can help reconstruct all the different ways that a naval seaman could have been exposed to asbestos on a particular Navy ship. Additionally, there's something called muster rolls. And muster rolls, as they relate to a naval seaman's case, tell us a lot of information because they list all the seamen that were on that ship. We can then, through our investigation, find these individuals, if they're still alive and still available, and interview them and talk to them about potential exposures they had in different compartments of the ship, and develop that evidence and potentially use it in our client's case to help our client prove their exposures to asbestos. In a case for a Navy seaman, there are many ways to establish the evidence of exposure to asbestos, and it all depends upon the individual facts of your case. I'm Joe Williams. I invite you to call my office so we can answer your questions. We represent mesothelioma victims every day, and we are here to answer questions for you. Thank you.